So I just wanted to introduce you to Betsy Stoltz, who is one of our attendees, our parishioners. And Betsy has made this wonderful artwork in response to the Open House Melbourne theme this year of Stories of Our City. And you will find in the church very, very personal stories. And Betsy will explain the significance of her work first. After this, after Betsy's piece, I'm going to ask you if you would please make your way down to the front of the church, and Cecilia, Reverend Dr. Cecilia Francis, will be talking about her stole and her work here in the parish. And then after that, we're going to have an in-conversation piece about the HIV quilt, so I hope you can stay for that. So I'm going to hand the non-existent microphone over to Betsy now to talk.
So this piece is called If the Jacket Fits, and it's a very deeply personal work. It's rooted in my history and in my making process, and it's a piece that sits in the intersection of place, memory, migration, and process. It tells a story without a neat beginning or an end because it is still unfolding. As a migrant from South Africa, now living in Australia, I've actually lived in Australia longer now than I've lived in South Africa, I carry multiple geographies within me. This duality, or an ongoing, unfinished integration, quietly but insistently seeps into my art. It's unavoidable. You see it here quite literally in the material. The vest is constructed from two maps. One is from South Africa, from a much older political era that shaped my early life. The other one is one of contemporary Australia, a place I live in, but still find myself searching for on the map. I don't know if you get that experience when you look at a map that you're familiar with, that you have an idea of what it's like to be there or where it fits in the bigger map. And I would have that about South Africa, but I don't have that about Australia, although I've lived in all states but the Northern Territory. I think it's something that just becomes part of you if you grow up in a place. So I would like to ask if anyone knows where Birrindudu is. Birrindudu, because this is the Australian part of the map. It speaks to identity, direction and movement, but also to disorientation, that thing we've just talked about. There's no single narrative line in migration, no fixed point on a compass. Instead, there's tension and fragility. And I think if you go upstairs to look at the children's art, you'll see that same thing, the movement, the tension. It's a very interesting exhibition. The dress is different. It's a kind of a visual journal. This fabric, I designed it. It's collaged from fragments of my printmaking practice. I'm a printmaker. It has liner cuts, etchings, jelly plates, and watercolor drawings in. And it's layered and digitally manipulated to create this fabric. So there is more integration here, but there's no resolution as far as I'm concerned. And I want to show you, if you're interested, the tag for this dress is here at the back, and those are the 4 artworks that I used to create this digital print. They don't quite fit the body, this garment. The dress is unfinished. They are fragile by design, because I wanted to express what it feels like to inhabit 2 stories at once. The familiar and the unknown, the inherited and the improvised. It is a constant negotiation and a redrawing of internal maps. And my process, like my journey, is non-linear. It is driven by experimentation, the embrace of accident, and materials that carry a history of their own. I use found maps because they speak a language of place. The first map in Australia that I got, I went to a craft fair in Deloraine in Tasmania, and in one of the shops there was a rolled up map, and it was one of the first maps of Hobart. And that just intrigued me. And so since then I have, as Jackie there would know, I've got a formidable collection of old maps. The work invites you to look closely, to look at the material, and to see that nothing is actually settled. And that is precisely the point. It is not finished, it evolves as we make, and it also relies on the contribution of others. It's a conversation I continue to have with myself. Thank you.
Just before we move down the nave, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Betsy about her work?
It's very clear.
Yes. Anything?
The South African map, where is that from?
Oh, the South African map is part of the province of Natal, which is now no longer the province of Natal. And that's the other thing that interests me about the South African maps, is I now, when I go and visit South Africa, I look for maps that still have old place names, because everything is now changed. And that conflict or that tension, I really appreciate, and I make other artworks from that.
Can't follow. It just intrigues me that there's sort of two halves. I'm wondering if you've ever thought to actually cut the maps up and really integrate them into like a collage of place that's very much put together.
There are other works like that, yes. Yes. You're welcome to come and have a look.
Betsy, where can people see more of your art?
Ooh.
Do you have an Instagram? Or
I do have an Instagram, but my Instagram is not about my art in the first place. My Instagram is started during COVID, and I took a picture every day of one place that I walked to. You know, we were only allowed to walk for 5 kilometers or whatever. And so I have an Instagram called Small Details, and it has a picture of every day during that time, and it's now over 1,000. But no, I will do something about that.
Can I ask you a question, Betsy? So it's really interesting because when you go upstairs and you look at the children's work, you'll see that a lot of the flags similarly don't exist anymore. So the flag for South Vietnam is on a lot of the work of the Vietnamese immigrant children. And this idea of how do you settle, and the term, the settler, and you use the term settler, do you think making the work helps that process of settling? Because you have experience of art therapy as well, so is that something that you would recommend? Or
I just think engaging with things, of course, grounds you. Whether it actually in the long term can completely deal with that integration is a different thing, but it of course helps it along. Yeah.
The process. Yeah, I hope so.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.